Good everybody, welcome back to the Yu-Gi-Oh house, guys. I got a perfect video for you on this wonderful Friday, almost Christmas time, so you guys know that I'm coming at you with another banger, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get right into it. We're gonna go ahead and get right into the board breakers tier list. Now, I did do this tier list the other day. I actually live streamed it. Unfortunately, the live stream did not get saved, so enough of that. We're gonna go ahead and run through this. This is made by Denny Loke. So Denny Loke, Yu-Gi-Oh board breakers tier list. These tier lists take time to make, so I appreciate him for making this one particularly. It's a little bit old. You'll see there are some banned cards on here, but if we go over the actual tiers that we have the creme de la creme, which is, top tier. Amazing. Always pretty good. Amazing. This card comes in clutch more times than not. Sometimes it's just very situational. They can work for you, sometimes. And then fodder is anything that works less than sometimes, because if it's not helping you, then more than half the time, then it is fodder. Garbo or banned. There are some banned cards on here, or cards that are just kind of garbage. So we're going to go ahead and look through this. First, we have Lava Golem. So if you can play Lava Golem, it's a really good card. I'm gonna say it's very situational, just because Lava Golem requires two monsters. It requires your normal summon, and you just don't want to draw into it too late into the duel. But two monsters is a very good point to have a card. I think in terms of, like, the contributing monsters your opponent controls, two is a really good number. Two is a really good number. I do think it's the better ones out of, versus maybe a kaiju. A kaiju I have to put in fodder, just because the trading one for one, I mean, you're not really trading, you're putting it on their field, but it does require your normal summon, and you're just clearing one body off of the field. I don't think that's a good trade, especially not in a format right now where, you have multiple interruptions on board. So kaiju currently for this format fodder. Um, and then we have sphere mode. I'll go ahead and bring sphere mode because I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about most of the cards that are just tribute to special, or tribute to normal, your opponent's side. Sphere mode again goes in sometimes. I think it comes up less than Lava Golem. Two is just a really sweet spot, but sphere mode, the times where sphere mode goes through and you can just wipe out three bodies off your opponent's field and they're just left with a freaking ball. Really good. That's all I can really say about it. This can win you the duel, and for that, it's sometimes, you will lack consistency with it. At times you hate to see it when, maybe your opponent ends on two cards, or something like that. So definitely a step behind Lava Golem, but I do think it's very, very good. Also a divine monster, which is pretty cool. One of the only playable meta relevant divine monsters. Triple tactics talent. In terms of board breaking, I mean, I have to say, triple tactics is amazing. I mean, not only the fact you can steal an opponent's monster, but just the fact you can draw two cards or rip a card out of your opponent's hand. Insanely good, insanely good. So triple tactics talent is amazing. Raigeki, just the sheer, like, you know no limitations this card really has. It's just, it destroy all monsters your opponent controls. um ridiculous, really good. There's no drawback. It's simple. It wipes the field, and yeah, it's at 3 as well, which is a big part of why I'm putting it in amazing, is because it's at 3. You can definitely see consistency with it. Lightning storm, oh man, lightning storm, it's really good. It's really good. It's the essential, what is a board breaking card. Despite the fact you cannot control no monsters, so you have to draw into it going. You have to draw it in your opening hand, preferably going second. So this card's always gonna be sided. Um, it is really good, just because the option to have wiping a backboard or wiping all monsters. I mean, it's a freaking Heartbeat Feather Dust, so you can run at 3. The only drawback is you need to have, you need to draw into it going second in your opening hand, which is, it's a good limitation for that. But when Lightning Storm goes off, it's devastating. So yeah, definitely have that in amazing. Harpy's Feather Duster, just in terms of what a board breaker is, it's really good. And I know I've been talking about consistency, like this card is at 1, but just the fact that this card has no real drawback and you're destroying all like set spell or just all spells and traps your opponent's controls, it is like essentially what a board breaker is. And I think it is probably the best board breaker now in terms of, what decks are being played right now. I don't think it is really a must have to put in a deck. Oh my gosh, you guys cannot even see the tier list. So yeah, creme de la creme, creme de la creme, really good card, evenly matched as well. Let me spread these guys out because these guys all right here, creme de la creme. They're the best. Dark Ruler No More, Forbidden Droplet, evenly matched. Forbidden Droplet, if your deck can run it, amazing. The fact that it cannot be responded to, amazing. It's just got everything going for it. Dark Ruler No More, this card essentially allows you to just play the game, no matter how many monster interruptions your opponent has. It just, activate this, all right, boom, you can play the game, combo off. Evenly matched, the fact that it banishes everything face down and your opponent is just left with 1 card is ridiculous. This card wins games all the time. Then we have these cards over here. I'll go ahead and talk about Zeus, and we can go ahead and put we can go ahead and no. We can go ahead and put this the banned cards. This is banned cards, Garbo or banned. But we'll talk about Cyclone. Cyclone is amazing just because it's a quick play. Very good for spot removal. Very good for essentially any type of removal. The fact that it's a quick play card really solidifies this as amazing. It's versatile. Amazing card. Prankertops. Sometimes, it's at 1, so the consistency is kind of ruined, but this card is a little pain in the behind. So sometimes, its consistency is lackluster, so that's why I put it there. We have Change of Heart, fodder. I might catch some hate because Change of Heart is a good card. Okay, so if you run it with something like Mind Control and you may be running an enemy controller, so you can see some form of consistency. Thing is, in the format we're currently playing in, getting 1 card oftentimes isn't going to be the turning point in the duel. Now, if you draw into this late and you both have exhausted resources and you get you're a crazy card back, like, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great, but the problem is this card is at 1 and mind control is also limited and enemy controller requires you to neg. So I just think it's not going to help you all the time. It's going to help you less than half the time. So that's why I'm putting him in fodder. Super Poly, sometimes just because Super Poly is just a really good card. I almost want to say it's amazing because it cannot be responded to, which is crazy. It's just uber specific. People can get away with playing it, but at this point in the meta, it's not ideal. If a meta shift does happen, it's very easy. This goes to amazing. I mean, Branded Despia, when Branded Despia was running around, this card was amazing. Just because you have a whole bunch of cards, a whole bunch of fusion monsters, but what limits this is that the extra deck is 15 cards. That's what really limits this card. Sometimes Mystical Space Time fodder, it had its time, it had its glory days. But in terms of just being destroy 1 card, destroy 1 spell or trap, it definitely has its moments, but I mean, it's just better cards currently. Cosmic Cyclone, for 1, it's pretty much just this big brother in the terms, it's a quick play and stuff like that. Forbidden Chalice, in terms of what it does, I do think it's really good just because it negates a monster's effect. But it's just in this current meta when you're trading, like you're targeting one card, it might just not be the turning point of the duel. So that's why I'm gonna put this in sometimes. Dark Hole as well. I am going to put in sometimes. Um, Dark Hole coming up, I think it's going to be a really good card just because we're going to see a lot more Kashtira support. Kashtira support requires you to control no monsters. So if you have like one card, then maybe you summoned, Dark Hole, boom, you can get rid of, since we're all playing on each other's turns all of a sudden, you might have a card or maybe two cards on your field going second. Dark Hole, boom, reset the field, activate your Kashtira cards. And not only that, you're getting rid of your opponent's monsters too. So that's really good. It's just with Dark Hole, I kind of want to say amazing just because, but it's the drawback, it's the drawback that it destroys your monsters as well. Which is not always ideal, but sometimes it can be really good too. But I just feel like Dark Hole just lacks some sort of, real consistency. If you're running it at 3 in your deck, there are going to be times where maybe like you could have drawn into a better card. So I'm going to go sometimes for Dark Hole. Torrential Tribute, I have to put it in sometimes as well, just because it doesn't have a real drawback besides it being a trap and it being like super slow. I kind of wanted to put it in fodder, but I mean, if Torrential Tribute goes off, it could really turn the tide for a duel. Zeus, I'm gonna put in amazing, just because it just the ease of access that Zeus has is really really good. The ease of access that Zeus has is really good, and its board wiping capabilities is very good, and is uber consistent if you're running an Xyz deck like Sprite Lyrilisk or Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk. We'll always be able to go into this card. Torrential Tribute, or no, I was talking about Zeus. Ease of access Zeus has, amazing. Is uber consistent. Board wiping capabilities, even if you don't have the best hand, you can still put a freaking board wipe on the field. So Zeus is an amazing card. It's format dependent, obviously, but I think people more times than not are sleeping on Zeus. Just because it's a monster, like it's a board breaking monster that extra deck monster that you're always going to have access to if you draw into the right cards. And if you're running high in your monsters, more likely than not you're going to be able to get an Xyz out into the field, swing however you can swing, and boom, put up Zeus. So yeah, guys, that has been it for the tier list. I would go into these cards, but I'm just lacking in knowledge in terms of these cards. I know this is like an off-brand Pranker Tops. I know this is an off-brand Cosmic Cyclone. I know this does like some weird stuff. And Ultimate Slayer, I just don't have knowledge on Ultimate Slayer like that to really talk about it. But that has been it for the tier list board breakers going into January 2023, guys. I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. The channel has been doing amazing. We've been slowed down a little bit due to the holidays, but we hope to bring you guys more and more videos as the time goes on. But anyways, guys, I hope you have enjoyed, and peace.